Well, welcome everyone back to another episode of Founder's Journey. My name is Michael Drummond. I'm your host, and I am so excited. This is brought to you by Tech Down a Circle, but so excited about my next guest. He's a founder and entrepreneur of Lytchgate. His name is Christopher Cheeney. Chris, thanks so much.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing
Thank
great.
you.
It's been a great day. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So you are. It looks like a little serial entrepreneur. So let's just get right into it. Tell us, how'd you get in this world?
Okay, let's start with what Lychgate is.
Okay.
Lychgate started as an art company.
An art company.
My mother or my family, my wife, my kids, all of us are heavily into the art scene. One of my first jobs out of college was at an art gallery. I studied theatrical lighting. So art was a big focus of my life. Always has been. In fact, still is. So the idea was we were going to create an online Etsy store, sell our art, incorporate, create. But one of the things I do is 3D animation, 3D design. So the Unity platform came along, and I just fell in love with it. So I started working in Unity, doing 3D animation, 3D design. From that, we started creating software, third-party development for other companies in Unity. Then I started making games for our own website. And from there, it's kind of taken off. Now we're looking at 3D additive manufacturing, 3D printing. So that's the next step for Lychgate, is to expand our 3D world into real world objects.
Okay. Wow. So there's a couple questions about that, but before, tell me,
sure.
What got you into entrepreneurship to begin with? Not everyone, a lot of you starting your own business. That's kind of scary for a lot of people. So what made you go there?
We're going to go way back. We're going to go way back to the 1980s.
Yeah.
So my first job out of college, I worked for an art gallery, and right after that, I worked for a financial firm. So my job was helping small businesses find financing.
Okay.
So I got into the financial aspects. This is back in the days before the venture capital and the angel investor world. So people would find us in the newspaper. They'd come. We'd put loans together for them, and I got to know very well the business aspects of art, as well as So I went and started an art gallery or an art brokerage in San Francisco. This would have been early 80s. It was called Eris Enterprises.
Okay.
And lost my shirt.
First loss.
Exactly. So lessons learned, right? So we found that selling art online, or this is before online, selling art through various whatever medium we could find, just wasn't ready. We weren't there. I thought I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Lost my shirt. Mm-hmm. So moved back to Utah, got married.
Yeah.
Started my next set of businesses. This was the Competitive Intelligence Group. It was a business designed to help businesses handle market research and competitor evaluations. We go out. While I was in San Francisco, my day job, I worked for a company called Spy Factory. And so I met a lot of private investigators, and I still had all my contacts in the banking world. So I kind of connected my private investigator and my banking world friends. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Did pretty well. Opened up a retail store, opened up a little club. If you've been around in the early 90s in Salt Lake, you remember a little store called Pangea on First South there between Main and West Temple.
Okay.
That was ours.
Okay.
So got in a dispute with our landlord, closed our doors, and things just went south. Again, second loss. Not one of the but this was the very beginning of the internet. This was the days of AOL, of the internet, as we know it today, right? So we had AOL.
Yeah.
We were also a T-shirt manufacturer.
Okay.
And somebody said, "Hey, what would happen if we put T-shirts on the internet?" So, as far as I know, I am the very first person ever to commercially sell T-shirts on the internet.
Nice. Hey, that's pretty cool.
So, but this was before the days of PayPal.
Yeah.
And if you remember back before the days of PayPal, it was impossible to sell anything online because nobody could buy anything. They'd have to give you a credit card and you'd have to run it. They'd have to trust you enough to give you a credit card, or they'd have to send you a physical check. It was a mess. PayPal fixed that. So I kind of gave up on entrepreneurship and kind of went off and did my own thing and went back and worked in lighting and theater for a while. Well, 2013, I came back to Utah. I lived in California for a while. In 2013, I came back and said, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's start this art gallery. Let's start this art company. I've done this a few times. I think I know what I'm doing this time, right? I taught a small business class when I lived in California for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And just came up with a good business plan, put it together, and created an Etsy account, and just started selling art.
Okay.
You know, I can sell anything. I'm like most people in the business world. You know, give me a chance, I'll go out and sell it. Right. But art is a hard sell. But 3D animation, 3D design was just something. It's just a hobby. I've always loved CAD. I've worked in CAD. I've programmed since I was 7. And so when I started getting into Unity, started seeing the possibilities there. I built the world as started building 3D worlds. Started looking at this as sets, and then from there, from the set design, started really getting into the idea of what else could we do with this, and started looking at game development. Started looking at what do I want to play, what do I want to see, and then a good friend of mine, I'm not sure I can give his name, who owns another software development company, reached out to me and was kind of in a bit of a bind and asked me if I'd write some code for him. Sure, I can pound it a little bit, no problem, right? So I pounded it out, and next thing I know, he's farming a ton of work to me. It's just, oh, you're good. Let's give you this. Let's give you that. Let's give you this. So, that opened another set of eyes for me. I'm like, wait a minute. There's so many people out there who need good coders. I'd be willing to bet that half the people out there are, oh yeah, I can write a little code.
Yeah.
Then the question is, what happens when you need outside work? You end up farming it out, and you have to farm it out to somebody you trust. I'll share a little bit of how I helped my friend out. He owned a contract for a casino. And they were doing a baccarat game online. Make sense? All right. So he built this baccarat game, farmed out all the software development to a third-party Indian firm. Well, the Indian firm, either intentionally or unintentionally, doesn't matter, created a delay between the time the card from the casino that they were using for real time and when that card hit the table in the casino, and the card hit the casino in the game, giving you enough time to see what card it was and place the bet before the results in the casino or on the online casino. You can imagine what that did to that casino.
Yeah.
They were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And it was my friend's fault. It was completely his fault. I came in, I rescued him, completely rewrote his code in a week, gave it to him. I'm like, here you go. There we go. And again, it's one of those, who do you trust? How do you go about creating this environment of who's a good coder? If you're a non-coder, how do you evaluate? You can see good results, but how do you know if on the backside what flaws, what errors there are in there? You don't. So these are some of the challenges I'm seeing in today's tech world. That you have a bunch of entrepreneurs, you have a bunch of people out there, a bunch of money people on one side, right?
Mm-hmm.
bunch of coders on the other side. They're getting together and everybody's shaking hands. But there's really no way for the two sides to really see what's going on behind the scenes because it's two different worlds.
Mm.
And it's interesting to me because I come from both worlds. I come from a business background. I come from a programming background. So I'm kind of seeing this, and the question really is, to me, where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want Lytchgate to be in 10 years?
Yeah.
Where do I want? And the other important question is, where is the world going to be in 10 years? What's the world going to look like? Technology is moving faster and faster and faster. We all know this, right? Most people, when they're planning for a static world that doesn't exist. So the question for anybody who's watching this is not only where your company is going to be, but where is it going to fit in the world around you? The old story about the horse cart people who, when cars came along, lost their shirt because they weren't able to adapt. The world is moving too fast for adaptation. We have to anticipate and move towards it. That's why Lytchgate is looking at the 3D manufacturing, because I believe in 10 years we're not going to see manufacturing 3% today.
Mm.
I think that it's going to be like a modern Kinko's. You're going to go down to the corner, you're going to hand them your file, or you're going to email them your file, and you're going to go down and pick up your object. That's just going to be reality.
Wow.
When we can ship a program for a wrench from the Earth to the International Space Station, because it was designed here on Earth by an engineer, he figured it out. He emailed them the file, they printed it on the ISS, and it worked.
Yeah.
That is as close as we're going to get to real world creation of ideas.
Yeah. It's like Star Trek where they would
exactly.
food thing. That's what it sounds like. It's crazy,
But it's real. I mean, I have 2 hobby printers. I just bought a commercial resin printer, and it's printing my first print as we speak. And you wonder if this is going to be the future we're looking at. Electric cars are our future, right? I believe we're going to get away from cell phone technology. Let me tell you, my belief is that we're going to all be on the cloud. That software as a service is our future. That all of our devices are just going to be interfaces. I've worked with another company where we are designing an online route or landing page, where basically your homepage on your computer is now going to be online. You can log on to it anywhere. So if I go over to your house and I need to log on to my computer, I just hop onto your computer, hop on the internet, log onto my website or onto my homepage. I now have my computer with all my programs. Everything else is there. Doesn't matter if I'm on my tablet. Doesn't matter if I'm on phone. Doesn't matter if I'm on your computer, my computer, the library computer in Timbuktu. Doesn't matter. Software as a service is the future, because it's getting more and more expensive to get our computer or our devices to be able to keep up with the technology we're trying to put into it. So I don't know how many of you guys remember back in the 70s, back when you would log on to the mainframe by having your little interface and you connect the phone to it. Anyway, that's where we're going back to, because all you really need is a keyboard and a response. That's it. If everything else is done in the cloud, you need an internet connection, and I'm telling you, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's internet everywhere. I even looked up Timbuktu. They've got 36% coverage. And that's 4G.
Yeah.
Not to mention 5G. So why are we wasting all this time and energy to create more robust devices? But we don't need them anymore. We simply don't. So when we look at that, you'll start looking at Google Glass. You start looking at some of the other things that are going along out there, and you think, This is the world we're coming into. This is the world I've got a position for as a founder, on this journey.
Hmm.
Where are we going to be? And then how am I going to strategically place myself into that world?
Hmm.
Because by the time that world happens, we're not going to have enough time to respond to it. It goes too fast. You have to be looking ahead. You have to be seeing ahead. You have to be looking where we're going to. I'll give you another example. Electric cars, we talked about it a little while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. The biggest problem with electric cars, if you drive one, I do. I don't know if you do or not,
Mm-hmm.
is range.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
nobody wants to drive from San Francisco to New York
Yeah.
and have to stop every 300 miles and stop for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a solution to this. There's two solutions. One of them is we charge vehicles as they go.
Yeah.
And I was involved in a project to do that. I came up with a solution, though they didn't like it because it wasn't environmentally friendly.
Because you didn't like it, what? Because what?
Because it wasn't environmentally friendly.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so I'll put it out there in case anybody out there wants to run with it. If you do, give me credit. I don't care. Think about this: high-powered lasers on telephone poles and a
Oh.
receptor on top of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot a 50 kilowatt laser into a car. It goes from station to station, charges as it goes.
Hmm.
But think about a bird going through that beam.
Yeah.
So that's why it was shot down. And this was a project that was given to me by a good friend who's connected directly to Tesla.
Hmm.
So that was my solution. They didn't like it. They went a different way because they didn't want to kill birds. I get it, whatever, right? So the other option that I came to them with is hot swappable batteries.
It was
Just makes
what?
sense. Hot swappable batteries.
Okay. Yeah.
And they gave me every excuse in the world of why this can't be done. Oh, we can't have. How do you know a battery's good? How do you know what this is going to be? How do you know where this is going to be? Blah blah blah. Guess what they're doing in Taiwan right now on scooters?
Hot soap batteries. Well,
Correct.
you know, propane tanks for your, you know what I'm saying? You go and you just old one to give you a new one. It's the same thing. Right?
So imagine you pull into a modern gas station, right?
Yeah.
It's got a robot, pulls the battery out, throws another battery on, you're good to go.
Mm.
Charges you a small fee.
Yeah.
These could be solar powered. They could be put in everywhere along every major freeway in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You could even have a little restroom there. It'd be beautiful, right? That's the future we're looking at. This is the world we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Better connectivity, and the technology that's coming. You rarely see technology that really is game changers. You see small increments. So if you look around at what we have today, what you're going to see, say, 20 years from now, is going to be advanced tech of what we're seeing today. That there's just no question, right? So my journey, we'll go back to the founder's journey here.
Yeah.
Is what is step? My next step is 3D manufacturing. 3D printing, 3D manufacturing. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Because manufacturing is a $1 trillion industry, right? Multi-trillion-dollar industry. Yeah. 3D printing is $1 billion industry. We're looking at an exponential growth in a business that's taking over an existing field. And the idea that I can send you a prototype, you can play with it on your desk, you can send you a file, you can play with it on your desk, decide you don't like it, you send it back to me, I change the design. Next thing you know, I have a lamp on your desk that I designed and meeting your exact customer specifications. Mm-hmm. This is happening. San Francisco, they've got a company that makes lamps, custom built, 3D printed, and it's shipping them. This is going on today. That can be done with chairs. It can be done with your table. It can be done with an office furniture. It can be done with virtually any item that we can print in plastic or plastic derivatives.
Hmm.
So now think of all this. Now you go down to Walmart and think of all the stuff that's on the walls that's in plastic, and think about instead just printing it at pennies on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Buying the file. Now you want a set of specialty goblets for Halloween, right? Right. So you go, you find the goblet you want, you print a dozen of them, or you hire a company to print a dozen of them. That's just down around the corner, and you go down pick them up the next day, and they have them for you.
Hmm.
That's where this world's going. So you wanted to talk a little bit about my other businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
let's
first of
talk
all,
a little bit.
tell us about the Lychgate. The name itself. You mentioned it. How did you come with the name? By the way, it's
Okay. So what a Lychgate is, if you've ever been to Europe, you've seen those old elaborate gates that they use for cemeteries.
yeah.
That is a Lychgate. What it is, it's a place for the coffin to sit underneath while they do the services before they put the coffin in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It represents a gateway between worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So Lychgate, the company, represents a gateway between worlds. Art, theater, thought, music, 3D design, 3D animation.
Gotcha.
We'll just call it media in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the company. Where'd I come up with it? Oh, heavens. 20 plus years ago, I came up with the company name.
Mm-hmm.
Used it in a cyberpunk campaign, fell in love with it.
Gotcha.
And I've kept it kind of in the back of my mind. And then decided when I was going to build the business was just a natural thing for us.
Yeah.
And again, media. That's what we are.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 3D media. I don't care if it's software media. I don't care if it's music and art video. I've done music videos.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
It's just an idea of where do you want to be? Where are we going to be? And what's a better term than media? Because everything around us is media, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and what is Lychgate? It's a gateway between these worlds.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So that's what that's about.
Hmm. Yeah, and then that you mentioned, yeah, I saw there was elevated, right? So
Yeah.
This is a totally different from everything else. Sounds like.
Okay, so the other business I'm running is Ease, elevated something spiritual.
Attitude, spiritual adventures.
That's correct. So this is a buddy of mine's project. I've got a really good friend, kind of a business partner, who is who's a priest in the Buddhist faith.
Mm.
He is also considered a Jedi Master.
Okay.
And he's just a cool cat. He's just one of those guys people like to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to teach people how to breathe the Tibetan way.
Hmm.
But the only way to do that is at high elevation. So he came to me. This was, oh heavens, about 3 years ago. He said, "Hey, let's start taking people up into the high Uenas and teach them how to breathe." Hmm. So okay, cool, we can do that.
Yeah.
So we put this together. We put together the package. We started looking at from a spiritual perspective. What can we do? So this is really Vishva's. That's his name. Vishva's project that I got pulled into for the marketing aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just, like I say, he's a character. I mean, how many Jedi Masters do you know in real life? I know one. And he's just one of those guys. He's studied multiple religions. Mm-hmm. He's a licensed priest. He's a licensed counselor. He's the one who married me and my wife. Mm-hmm. He's been a friend of mine for 13, 15 years, I don't know, 20 years. He's been part of my life in and out for years. And this was his project. So the idea was that we would just take, now of course COVID killed us.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing anything in real life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll probably start up again next summer.
So tell me, if you had to go back and look at all these things, what was the biggest, maybe the biggest setback, and with that, the lesson learned, and the advice you give based off that?
The biggest setback, all of my history and the lessons learned. I would say from a business perspective, because we have business, we have spiritual, we have personal, blah blah blah. From a business perspective, I would say not seeing the writing on the wall. That things are changing, that the customer base is changing, the desires of the customers are changing. And that will kill you every time. It's what killed my art gallery, is because I didn't ask what the customer wanted. It's what killed my retail store, because we weren't providing what our customers wanted. It's without good market research, without a good understanding from the customer's perspective, you're going to fail. And so the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, one, who is your customer? Not your ideal customer, who your current customers are. And what do they want from you? And how can you provide it? Anything, it's a recipe for failure to not do that. It really is. You're shooting in the dark, and it'll just come back and bite you.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I think that's certainly something everyone needs to always ask. Yeah, who's your customer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, and I certainly see what a great lesson learned.
Yeah, exactly. So then we'll go. I'll take it back to Lychgate. So we'll say that Lychgate, I have 4 customers, right? I have 4 styles of customers. I have one are my software development customers. I have my video customers. I have the ones who follow our various YouTube channels. And then I have our video game customers, the customers who play our video games, right? Each one has to be marketed to separately and carefully. So if you look at our website, you'll just see kind of a generic splash page. This is Lychgate is blah, 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 right? The reason for that is because I have 4 sets of customers. I can't please them all with one set of media.
Yeah.
So let's be intriguing. Let's let people reach out to us. Let's talk about it. Let's have conversations like this of what we're looking at, where we want to be, how we're going to get there, rather than isolate ourselves against or away from part of our customer base. I mean, there's people that all of us have as customers we'd rather not. I'm sure that exists. But the truth is that they're still putting money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
it's been fascinating. Tell me, as we time's coming up here, I always ask people, favorite book or at least a book that has made a difference for you, and why did it make a difference for you?
Oh heavens! And you asked me this question to prepare me for this question.
Yeah.
I went through my Amazon Kindle account. I went through my book reading list. I read so much, so many different stories.
Yeah, and it could just be just a recent one or whatever, or one that maybe something along that maybe was a turning point. Either way, it doesn't matter.
So let's. I'm gonna go on ahead and say the number one game changer in this world for me has always been, and my go-to book for when I want to change, is Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And because it's just so deep, but so easy to understand. You know what I mean? So it's one of those ones you can apply it to business, you can apply it to personal life, you can apply it to conflict, you can apply it to any part of your life. And I mean, we can say the same about the Bible, we can say the same about the Tao Te Ching, we can say the same about numerous other books. But it's just one that I just go back to. It's always one that I go back and take a look at and say, okay, wait a minute. Where am I? Where am I in the conflict? How am I going to get from point A to point B? And there's another book I'm going to throw out there called Slaying the Dragon,
Okay.
which so this is just another dragon. I'm going to slay it. How am I going to go about it? What's my strategy to get from point A to point B?
Okay. Well, I think if someone's never read Our War, they need to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you read Our War, you need to read it. It's a fast I read. But Slaying the Dragon, I haven't heard that. I'll have to put that one down. Slaying the Dragon. Okay.
No, it's a self-help book for people getting out of prison.
Okay.
So just be prepared. But it was written by an entrepreneur who got out of prison, built his life.
Huh.
And he says he has a whole bunch of rules, but one of them is anything you're up against is just slaying another dragon, man. Just slay the dragon and move on.
That's good advice. It's good advice.
Yeah. So anyway, this was lovely. Do you have any other questions?
No, Chris, that's been so helpful. Thanks so much, and I'm sure people appreciate this. And well, no, I guess last one is if someone wants to get a hold of you or learn more about your business, how do they do that?
Probably LinkedIn is the best way to find me.
Okay.
Chris Cheeney at LinkedIn.
That's
I think it's
CHEENEY.
N-Y, correct. CHEENEY. You could also find me on Lytchgate.biz, LYTCHGATE.biz.
Okay.
That's our main website. You can find me on LinkedIn. You could probably find me on other social media, but really LinkedIn's the way to find me.
Those two.
Of course, the Tech Finder.
Christopher Cheeney, if I remember right. Yeah, that's how you have it.
Yeah, I'd have to look, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Christopher Cheeney.
Okay.
But yeah, just come find me. Say hi. I'm more than welcome to talk to anybody. I'm fairly approachable. I don't bite too hard.
Well, and you're pretty active on the Discover the Discord channel of the
Absolutely.
of the
I love that.
So and you know if anybody watches it's not part of the Tech Founder Circle, let us know. We'll get you part of that. But
oh heck yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
But
come hang out.
Yeah, Chris is definitely part of that. He's pretty active there. So thanks a lot, Chris, and we'll talk to you on Discord.
Sounds good.